Have you ever put on your bathing suit bottoms and there was a mistake in it? Because I've done that and it's the worst.
Jonesy and Ray, just wondering.
Welcome back to Just Wondering podcast, where we will surprise each other with whatever topics come to mind. We literally know nothing and have made a rule to never research before recording. So buckle up.
We're your hosts. I'm Jones.
And I'm Ray. And Jones, I was just wondering about what happens to bugs in the wintertime.
They die.
But, okay, so I was thinking that, right? I was like, do they all just die? But if they all just died, wouldn't that mean that there would be no more bugs ever again?
I don't know. Do they freeze?
I think they maybe freeze.
Yeah, do they freeze as adults or do the eggs freeze?
And then every year they have to all start from babies?
Maybe. Well, because some bugs have isn't a fruit fly just a 3-day lifespan or something? Like most bugs don't live that long.
You must freeze. I was thinking because we have so many ants at my on my lawn. Mm-hmm. There's ants all over and they're all different sizes and stuff. And I was thinking about them because some of them are really small, some of them are medium crunchers, and some of them are really big. There's one this big. I bet it probably splats. It's the biggest ant I've ever seen. It's the biggest ant that's ever existed.
That's a fact.
Yeah, and it's very slow. I guess because its body is so heavy, but can't they carry so much weight? So I don't know.
But I don't know that they carry that much weight and then sprint. I think there's different species of ants. So I don't think that they're all those little tiny ants.
Yeah, and they taste like lemons. When I was in Ecuador, my guide in the jungle was eat these ants, they taste like lemons.
And I don't believe it.
I said, no, thank you, I'm vegetarian. Now I eat bugs, but I didn't eat bugs at that time. I even eat shrimps now. Are shrimps bugs also? That's another question.
Isn't a shrimp a fish?
It's not a fish.
Or it's a
crustacean.
Crustacean.
Is that the right word? But are crustaceans bugs?
The bugs of the sea!
Because don't they look like scorpions? And a scorpion's a bug. Okay, but the tiny ants taste like lemons because Kimmo ate them because she was well, I'm very curious about it now. So she actually licked the ants off of this man's hand in the jungle. And she's like, wow, they do taste like lemon.
I think he squeezed a lemon in his hand and
he didn't.
You. How could an ant taste like a lemon? Wouldn't it just taste like dirt or nothing? If they're that small, how would they even possess enough substance to taste like anything?
But she ate a lot of them. She licked a handful of ants and it tasted like lemon.
Like that at all. What if they're so little?
Yeah.
She probably couldn't fully chew them. Do you think that
she didn't chew them?
To just swallowed them alive and they went down her esophagus. Do you think some of them still live inside of her? Probably not.
Probably not. I think the stomach acid would probably take care of that.
True. But what if they just live in her throat?
They're just friends with Osmosis Jones.
I guess that's what I'm wondering. Do the adult bugs freeze? Because I do think they freeze. I think they would have to freeze or else they would just be around all the time, right?
Yeah.
They've done experiments where they put bugs and stuff in the freezer and then they bring them back to life. So something like a housefly would freeze pretty easy because it's pretty small. Most of these animals, they probably burrow in wherever they live, ants in their ant holes and stuff.
Because I know the ground freezes in the wintertime, right? And so they're underground, they could freeze. But the core of the earth is very warm. So what if they just go deeper in the winter and it's warmer down there? But they'd have to go very, 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 very deep, right? For that, probably.
Yeah, and not all bugs burrow, right? Flies don't.
Do you think they'd have to go kilometers deep to get to the core of the earth? How far away is the core of the earth?
Pretty far.
Because I was also thinking about it because all the ants on my front lawn are different sizes. Ants can live for up to 15 years. So maybe the big ant.
15 years?
15 years. What if it's just the older ant? And then I was wondering, would all ants get that big if they live for 15 years?
I think they're different species, right? Because you have your I don't know what they're called, but the little tiny ants. And then I know that there's carpenter ants and those are the big ones.
I wonder if it's a
and then there's
carpenter ant.
wood ants, I think. No, maybe those are carpenter ants. But there's another kind of ant too that's like as bad as a termite. I sometimes get those little tiny ones in my windowsills.
Did you know that they don't cross dish soap? If you put a line of dish soap, they won't come further. That's what I heard.
Oh, interesting. Anyway, I'm moving out of here in like 2 weeks, so I probably won't do that. But I could leave a note for the new tenants.
So something else I was wondering is, do frogs also freeze in the wintertime? Because I think that that is also a thing, that the frogs are in the pond and then they freeze over the wintertime and they come back to life in the spring.
Again, do they freeze as frogs or is it the tadpoles that just stay alive?
I think they freeze as frogs. I was really sure that this was a thing. And I was talking to a couple people yesterday about it, and a few of them had never heard of that before. So they were like, frogs freeze in the wintertime? And I said, yes. No, they do. And I was like, they don't? I was like very confused. I really think it's a thing.
But I have seen them go in a freezer and then get thawed on the television before.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, I saw that on the TV when they go to dissect it and it comes back to life. They freeze them as like, if it's alive and you freeze it and you take it out, it does come back to life.
Yeah, but usually you wouldn't do that if you're going to dissect it. Usually it would sit in like...
No, I think it was an accident that one of them came back to life. Right, yeah.
I guess they would have to, because there's so many things that you see like flying around in the summer just between like June bugs, potato bugs, all of those things. But you don't see them in the winter, so they must go somewhere unless they just live. Because it's not like I see an influx of animals, or not animals, insects or bugs or whatever in my house in the winter.
Yeah.
So they must freeze.
Maybe they also live underneath the snow.
But they would freeze so quickly, right? Like a little tiny ant would freeze in like probably 2 minutes, if that, like maybe even faster. I think they probably would freeze and then they thaw and come back to life. That's why like in like April, you get all those stupid flies that are just like, ooh.
Would it just be considered like a form of hibernation?
Isn't hibernation just sleeping?
Yeah, and how can their bodies store up enough energy?
Because they're so small.
Yeah, so I think that they must get frozen. It can't just eat a lot and then lower its body temperature and sleep through it. Yesterday, I brought up the frogs, and then my friends were saying the frogs maybe don't freeze, maybe they just hibernate like bears. And I was like, bears definitely don't get frozen over the winter.
No, they're way too big.
But I think frogs and bugs might.
Yeah, but also because I think their hearts are different. Like a bear would have a more similar cardio system probably to humans. I don't think, can we freeze?
I don't think we can freeze and come back to life.
Like
I think they're working
cryo sleep, is that what it's called? Yeah,
I think so. I think if we get frozen, we're dead.
It's like all the people on the path up to Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Well, it's not up to Mount Everest, up Mount Everest. I don't like bugs though. Some don't bug me. I've lived in a lot of basements.
Centipedes.
Yeah, I hate them. I killed one last night. But they are actually good things to have because centipedes do not cohabitate. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't cohabitate.
They're not going to be roommates
with cockroaches.
Yes, and I think spiders as well. I love spiders. I cultivate them because
they're your pets. But the centipedes I will kill because I really, really don't like them. They have too many legs, and truly, I don't think you can trust anything that has that many legs. Probably if you took all the centipede's legs and put them together, they'd be longer than my legs.
You know what bug you don't hate that has a lot of legs is a caterpillar.
Well, no. I don't like caterpillars, first of all, but I did find that one caterpillar we saw very interesting because the front legs were pointy like this, and then on the back legs it looked like it had shoes, and it was so cute. And I don't know if that was the beers I had drank.
I think though it's very helpful here that they can't really grow over the winter time, right? And because they don't really get that big. So yeah, centipedes are this big. That's as big as my head apparently. Millipedes we have are only like this big, right? But in Thailand, I had a millipede, someone put it on my arm and it was like the whole length of my forearm.
I hate that.
Yeah, and then I was like, I don't like it. You can feel every single foot on you.
The millipedes are weird. They're the ones with the hard shells, right?
Yeah.
Do we have those here?
We do, but they're just like 1 inch long. But in Thailand, they're very big. And then at one point, someone else was holding it. And I was like, okay, I'm getting kind of used to it now. It doesn't look that scary. And the guide in that jungle was like, oh, lift your hair up. So I lifted my hair up, my braid, and he wrapped it around my neck. And he's like, that's your necklace now. Smile for the camera, please. And this was my smile. I was like, when am I ever going to have the chance? So I was like, okay.
I hope that I never am even given the opportunity to do that.
I said,
it's
okay,
disgusting.
I'll hold it. He did put it on my arm. And I was like, okay, I did volunteer for that.
Cockroaches are not something that I ever want to come in contact with, but I've never had them, thankfully. So
no.
I don't like beetles are just like weird. I don't like them because I also am like, every time I see a beetle, I'm like, is that a beetle or a cockroach? And then I'm always scared because I think we're also like taught to think that like cockroaches are very scary, and they're really, really hard to get rid of. Like you don't really want any
they
pests.
Multiply. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really want any pests living in your house, and then cockroaches multiply very quickly and they're very hard to kill.
They'll fill your walls.
Oh,
I think you can cut into the wall and it can be packed with cockroaches.
And there's like electrical cockroaches too. They live in your like appliances and stuff.
I was picturing like electric eels and it's like, do they shock you? Like there's electric cockroaches. I was like, I've never heard of that before. I've seen them very big in Bali, and they were just like running rampant in the streets. There was cockroaches everywhere. And every time we saw like a stampede of cockroaches, Kate would say, don't take those home with you.
Bees are great. Bees don't bug me. Big fluffy bees.
I like
wasps and hornets can fuck right off.
I can't tell. You know how there's wasps and hornets and stuff that are striped also like bees? They are, right? So people will be like, that's a wasp, but I think that they're all bees. I'm like not scared of them.
Bees are fluffy though. Like bumblebees
Bumblebees are, but there's also like other kinds of bees.
I never knew that. This is something I'm learning.
There was a couple small bees on me last week, and I was like, I wish that the bugs didn't really like me because I was getting eaten by mosquitoes and there's bees just hanging out on me, and it felt ticklish. Mosquitoes are awful, and this year they are extremely bad. I think it's also that we're spending more time outside right now because of the pandemic. So I think we're just exposing ourselves to mosquitoes more frequently, because normally we'd be like, oh, the bugs are bad, let's go inside. But right now we're like, we have to hang out outside so we can see our friends.
Nothing as bad as black flies, though. Algonquin black flies in the spring.
Oh, yeah, they bite you right on your forehead and
stuff. You can't even, like, see. You need to, like, swim through them.
They hurt.
Yeah,
their bites hurt. And they're so small. How can they take such a big bite and hurt you that much when they're so small?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh my God. One time on the trail, because you were going for an 8-kilometer run, so Candace and I decided to go for a walk. Yeah, it was so hot. And I had my Nalgene in my hand, and we're walking, and this bug would not stop flying around my ears. Like, it wouldn't leave me alone. Like, it was the worst ever. I hate hearing in my ears. I'm like trying to swat it away. I knocked myself in the head with my full water bottle. I was like, this is a concussion. Have you ever put on your bathing suit bottoms and there was a pig in it? Because that's and it's the worst. Yeah, I wouldn't mind bugs if they didn't bite me.
But I don't think centipedes actually don't do anything to you. They can't.
They're just gross and they have too many legs.
Did you know I think they are poisonous, but their mouths are too small that they can't bite a human. I don't know if that's true. I think I learned that when I was in Thailand as well.
Ray, question. What are you drinking today?
Today I'm drinking an old style Pilsner.
Ooh.
It's my breakfast beer. Jones, what are you drinking?
Because it's so early and because I love it, I'm drinking the Waterloo Pineapple Radler again. I feel like this is a staple of mine, but it's only 2.5%, which is good for me because don't tell my boss, but I'm still working.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Well, let us know what you think about bugs. Do you think that they freeze at night? No, not at night. In the winter.
Yeah. How do they survive the winter? And also frogs. Do frogs freeze?
Do the small ants grow?
Taste like lemons?
No, yeah. Well, that's weird. No, you were wondering if an ant lives 15 years, does it get bigger? So are the small ants just
juveniles?
Small? I think that they're different species.
I think they're different species too, but I said it mostly to be silly.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let us know what you think. If you know the answers, let us know.
Send it.
Yep.
To justwondering.podcast.ray@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at just.wondering.podcast.
Do it! have a great day. Oh, I don't know why I said that. Wouldn't leave me alone. I was like, oh my God, it's going to burrow in my ear and eat my brain, just like earwigs.
Do they do that?
I don't know. Isn't that why they're called an earwig?
I don't know.
Anyway, I never walked that path again.